So I'd like to talk for just a few minutes as I'm walking along here about how to create capital. I'm not an economist, I'm just a guy, but these are just some observations I've had, some thoughts I've had. Maybe you will find value in. So, if you want to create capital, which is a commodity that other people value, then you simply need to make available to others the value that you have. So if you want to create capital or that which has value to others, then you have to make available to others the value that you have. And so in addition to that, if maybe the value you have to offer is limited, increase the value that you have by increasing your talents and abilities. So there's an awful lot there that I just shared. And so this is something we see all the time. People get out of high school, they realize they need a career, they realize, hey, I want to have a house, family, and as things stand, I don't have anything really that employers want, so I'm going to go to college, or I'm going to go to tech school, or I'm going to go out and learn some skills, learn a profession. And so they increase the value that they have to offer other people to the point where they can actually make a living at it. Another way to look at it is that we all have latent value that's there to be accessed, that can be transformed from a sort of latent energy or into more of a kinetic energy that can be tapped into. And so we all have within us these abilities, talents, knowledge, and potential, which in most cases goes untapped. We don't really do very much at all, really, with what we have to offer, which is really a shame. And so one of the things we need to do in seeking to better live the measure of our existence is to seek and to search deep within ourselves as to what God has placed there that He wants us to develop and He wants us to transform into a positive flowing energy into His creation. And so typically this is most readily identified as those things that interest you the most. What are your interests? What are the activities that you enjoy the most, you have the most interest in? And also, what are your most abundantly obvious talents and skills? And so that is probably the place you should look to first in terms of trying to figure out how to create capital. So that was the whole point of this video, is we all want to and need to create capital to feed into the mechanism of creation so that we can be happy, we can make others happy, and we can be successful. So just gonna pause on that for a second. All right. So in this day and age, we all have some pretty big challenges we're trying to deal with. What's funny is right now I'm actually at a LDS ward breakfast picnic thingy, and one thing that I've observed in this ward is the bishopric does everything, which is really a shame, because there's a lot of people in this ward who have great talents and great value and great capital to bring to the table to make things better. But typically, that is not recognized, that's not appreciated, and there are no requests made for that to happen. And so, like for me, some years ago I was called as the War Emergency Preparedness Specialist Coordinator, whatever. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I've been way into preparedness, especially emergency preparedness, for many years. I've got a lot I could share with the ward, with anybody, if there's really a desire to learn about that. And a few months into that, they decided to have a fifth Sunday, where on the fifth Sunday you have Sunday school. They'll have a lesson where the bishopric appoints somebody to give a lesson on something else besides the regular curriculum. Anyway, short story is I was asked to come in during Sunday school on the fifth Sunday, back when we had the 3-hour block, and give a presentation on preparedness. I was pretty excited about it. Well, things evolved, and what ultimately happened was they decided that since they, the bishopric, obviously didn't have enough time to share their thoughts with the congregation. Apparently every Sunday sacrament meeting is not enough. Anyway, short story is I was given 10 minutes. I was given 10 minutes during that 45-minute period to talk about preparedness. And then the rest of the time was used up by the other 3 guys to share whatever thoughts they had. I remember one of them, he apparently got online, looked on the internet, found a few thoughts, and that was it. And I have to admit, I was extremely upset by the whole thing. Extremely upset. Obviously, I was not at all valued for what I had to bring to the table. Nobody really wanted to hear at all what I had to say, or any suggestions or advice that I had to give. And it was all about those other 3 guys showing up and showing everybody how awesome and righteous they were, being in the spotlight. And so, that was the first and last time I was asked to share anything on the topic of preparedness. That's a really sad thing. It's obvious these people don't really care anything about preparedness. They don't take it seriously, which I can promise you that's going to change. And so, if you're a leader in any kind of an organization, you're actually interested in having success within that organization, and interested in retention, go find out what value the people in your organization have to offer, what capital they're able to bring to the table to make things better, and then capitalize on the capital. So like today, they had a little breakfast here, and I've got a pretty extensive setup that I have available where I can bring in propane stoves. I got a huge griddle, all that kind of stuff. I could have been very, very helpful in making this a success. And they know that. I did so last year when my wife was the primary president. This year, I was not asked to do anything, and the bishopric did everything. And so you got all these people milling around who could have felt valued, who could have felt like they mattered, could have brought things to the table to make this event a much better event for everybody. And people could have gone away feeling like they actually were cared about and they were actually valued. And so, you know, we see this happen in all organizations. All organizations, we see the same thing, where the people who are in charge have to have the spotlight all the time. They run everything. They don't delegate nearly enough, and it's all about them. It's all about the leadership. It's all about the people in charge, people running the show, showing everybody how awesome they are, not wanting to give the glory to anybody else, as it were. And so consequently, because they have very little glory themselves, there's not a whole lot to show for it. On another front, if you're trying to figure out how to get better at making a living in today's world, if you're trying to figure out how to generate capital, then the same principles apply. Figure out what your strengths are, what your talents are, what your abilities are, and most especially what resources you have available to you. What are your assets? What are your skills? And not just that, what resources could be available to you if you just had more knowledge. And so typically that's the most limiting factor is we don't get very far in life because we're so limited in our knowledge, our understanding, and our awareness of reality. It says in the Bible, my people are destroyed because they lack knowledge. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of reality. They lack understanding and awareness of reality. And so consequently, they're destroyed. So, right now, you know, I've been looking at trying to figure out how to relocate, to get a place out in the country. Right now I live in Wichita, Kansas, which is actually a really good place in a lot of ways. But according to my awareness of reality, things are getting a lot worse in the next few years. And it behooves you and me to find a situation, if we don't already have one, where we can do far more to grow our own food, live off the grid, and be in a place where we're not going to be assaulted by hungry, angry, desperate people. And so it's a good idea to figure out a way to move out into the country, out into the wilderness, somewhere where people don't even know you exist. That's a good idea. The only problem with that is that it's probably going to cost you between $500,000 and maybe $800,000 to find any place like that. And you're probably going to have to go far away from where you live. In my case, I've been looking at up near Sandpoint, Idaho, because with my job I can commute out of Spokane, and I've got friends and family up there. It's a green, beautiful, forested place, and there's some options available. And so I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to raise capital. And so if you're trying to raise capital, the first place to look is yourself. Search deep inside of yourself. What do you have to offer? and what are the techniques that other people have used to basically amass wealth. And for many years I have specifically shied away from this whole get wealthy deal, because I see most of the people who do that are very worldly, immoral, godless people, and the wealth is their idol. Well, you know what? The wealth isn't my idol. I just want to serve the Lord, repent, and not starve to death. I want to be able to take care of my family. And so, for that cause, I am trying to switch gears here and figure out how to amass a considerable amount of wealth in order to do this. And so, I've been getting online, I've been watching videos about how the wealthy get wealthy. And from what I can tell, most of them get wealthy from investments, the stock market, from real estate, from having multiple streams of income, from intellectual property, and so forth. Basically, they make their money work for them. So they're making money while they're doing very little comparatively. And so they learn how to leverage the capital they have, so that they receive compound interest on that capital flowing to them, not away from them. And so this is a tough time to get into real estate, since real estate is so expensive. If you want to get into buying houses and renting them out, or flipping houses, that's going to be really, really tough, because everything is so doggone expensive. And most real estate is being sold for cash, because the only people that can afford it are the ones who can offer cash. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. Definitely looking at my options there. Looking at intellectual property, I really like. I've had an interest in books. I've published several books, but taking another close look at how to be successful as a writer and publisher. And so, I'm just talking about capital that I have to offer, and how to expound on that. Anyway, this whole idea of capital is the necessity to understand what capital is, how to increase in capital, and how to capitalize on others is so important in so many ways. So I hope this helps a little bit.